Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Hey, welcome to a Thursday night edition of the Fanatical Elfz Network Show. Yes, here we are. We're a duo tonight. It's me and it's Sam Britton all the way down there in Dallas, Texas. But he's the biggest Browns fan around. Sam, how are you doing on this? Well, it's a cold night here in Columbus, Ohio.
Pretty chilly here.
How's it there?
It's been nice. It's just been cold, but it's going to warm up pretty quickly. But it's nice. It'll be 100-degree weather before we know it. So enjoying the cold while we have it.
Well, enjoy that. I can't believe this snow stuff, like where you guys are in like South, right? You said Houston.
Yeah,
and
New Orleans, Florida, everyone's getting snow.
I mean, that's just like a once in a lifetime, 100, 200 year thing. I'm just like, we go down. So Sam, we go down the panhandle of Florida there. We go to Pensacola a lot and Destin, and they all got 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. So it gets cold there sometimes, but never like snow like that. So it's pretty nuts. So,
yeah.
We're still in the refrigerator here up in Columbus. We didn't have school for a couple days. So our students and teachers got to hang out, and we went back to school today, Sam, and it felt like a Monday.
Yeah, but it's not a Monday.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my Cleveland Guardians gear tonight. I know I don't have my Brown stuff on, but at least I'm matching here. Sam, you got your cowboy hat. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
You got big plans this weekend, Sam?
No, not at all. It's just gonna be sitting there, mate, basically.
Well, there's a lot happening with the Cleveland Browns. Like, it wasn't a real eventful week, but today, Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, came out and spoke for a very brief second. I didn't see the whole spiel, but from what I read, he did not come on very long. And what basically he came out and said was, "I'm taking play calling over again, and I'm also in control of changing that if I feel necessary, basically, in the future." So that'll be his call. He said this all in a couple of seconds, and people tried to ask him questions, and he left the room. Now, Tommy Rees, the new offensive coordinator, was also interviewed. I saw parts of those interviews, and he talked a lot about his new role and things like that. So anyway, that's what happened. It was quite a bit, kind of a bit news. I mean, the fact that Stefanski's getting play calling back. Do you like that, Sam? The idea of Stefanski going back to calling the plays?
I'm not shocked. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm not shocked it's happening because that's just what head coaches like to do. It helps them stay in the position a little bit longer too, because it makes it harder for someone to fire the head coach who's also the play caller as well. So I don't like the decision personally. I think if we have a good offensive coordinator, or just offensive coordinator, really, he should call the plays. But as long as it's Stefanski's book that we're calling it out of, then I'm a little more, I can deal with it a little bit more. Well, but if it's not his book, then I'm a little iffy on it.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know exactly, but people are like, there's different views of this. Some people are, super excited, like, okay, we're going back to, what we did well, this kind of zone offense and using the tight ends and such. And I don't know. He had the play calling right earlier this season, and then he gave it over to Ken Dorsey. Right. And didn't we all say at the time, like, okay, well, now this, like, I think Sam, you said this too, like, this gives now, Stefanski an opportunity. Then if things go south, then we can just go ahead and get rid of Ken Dorsey. It kind of allowed and then kind of protected Stefanski, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, really what I'm feeling is Watson's not playing another snap with the Browns, I don't think. They're going to find every which way to get rid of him and keep him off the field. So I think Stefanski, he knows his job is in trouble. He knows if he isn't able to figure this out next year, he's going to have some problems. So I think he's just going to extract as much power as he can as head coach,
Mhm.
because there's really not any other options at the moment. We can't just fire him and go somewhere else right now. We can, but it's not going to be a great season if we do. We're going to, again, win 3 or 4 games. So if we decide to fire a head coach with no quarterback, all these problems. So really, it's just Kevin. He knows that he is safe right now, and he can just really do whatever he wants at the moment.
I just don't, and like you already mentioned on, and I've mentioned on many times on different podcasts and this one too. I just don't understand. Like you're hiring an offensive coordinator for what? I mean, okay, why even hire than an offensive coordinator if you're going to be the guy calling the plays? So, we were all talking about how if Stefanski gives up the play calling last year, and like he did to Dorsey, then it at least gives Stefanski maybe a broader brush that he can then kind of oversee other parts of his team. Now he's going to be going back to this play calling. I don't know if I necessarily like it, but I can understand the point of view, and I can see how we've had success with his play calling, and if he goes back to the traditional things that he's wanted, then I'm more up for it. But I don't know. All right, so that was kind of the big news that most of us kind of were suspecting that was kind of come down the pike, that Stefanski would be calling these plays. Now, Tommy Rees talked today, and I don't know if Sam, you got a chance to see this, but he sounded like a nice kid. He's a young guy, and I don't know. I'm all about personality. We have podcasts. We do these things. We come on the air. We're loud, obnoxious, or at least I am. And, I don't know. This guy, Tommy Rees, sounded nice. He has spent time. His father has been in the league a while. He's been around football. He talked a little bit about his time in Cleveland. He actually was here with his dad at some point. It was the ball boy when he was 14. With the Browns. So he's been around the organization. He's a Browns fan. And then, he played at Notre Dame, pretty good quarterback, but he wasn't great. People wanted to say that he was great. He was just all-star. He really wasn't. I didn't see a lot of personality today in his press conference. And, he's in the spotlight. He's new, but I didn't get an overwhelming amount of like, oh my God, this guy is going to be it. And to me, it's like, and I don't know what you think about this, Sam. I think it could be a lot of the same old that we've seen. And I'm worried, as that Browns fan, as I always am, that, how did we really improve? I know we just said we're going back to Stefanski's play calling. Do you see an improvement now with Tommy Rees taking over the reins at offensive coordinator?
One, it's an initial press conference. He's going to stay safe. He's going to say the same things, right? You're just trying to get in your foot in the door. And he's also very new, right? New people are going to be much more cautious and safe than Mike Tomlin might be, right?
Right.
Or a Harbaugh or Andy Reid, right? These people are going to be a lot more, because they're not new in the position. They're not new on the team, right? They've been there for 15, 20 years. And so I think this isn't going to tell us a whole lot about him just yet. You got to see how he treats a loss, win, problems, those kind of things. If you want to really judge him on how he does, you got to treat.
I just want to judge him now, Sam. I'm ready to judge him.
Yeah.
I've already judged him.
But you're going to have to wait a little while before you really want to get a good idea on him, if you want it, because you got to judge how he reacts.
Sam, I agree. I agree with you.
A good loss, a bad loss, a good win, okay win, right? Things like that is going to tell you if they're going to stick around, or if they're just going to kind of be a one or 2 year kind of guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I don't know what I wanted. So there's a lot of, so we're starting to get into this whole period now where we're leading the Browns into the free agency window coming up here, the first part of March. And then we have this NFL draft, and people here in Cleveland continue to talk about quarterbacks and what the Browns are going to do, because Watson, we all agree, is probably done for. I don't think he'll ever play another down in the NFL. So you have the number 2 draft pick. The Browns have that right now. And there's been a lot of discussion this week on the airwaves in Cleveland and around the Cleveland Browns about, do we use the pick, or do we, trade the pick and trade down? We've already kind of mentioned this in other podcasts, but it seems like the conversation this week, at least, Salmon, I would like your take on this. Do you think there's a strong push right now that these quarterbacks, especially the top 2 that are considered the top 2, Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders, that these 2 guys, if one of them is available to the Browns really should consider taking one of them? And I've read and I've heard different opinions on this, and I've started to write about it in my own articles. I'm doing some assessment on it too. Right now, I would take one of the 2. For me, I don't know, the guy that I don't know who it was who wrote it, but he basically, the opinion, and the same opinion I have, is, what do you have to lose? I mean, at this, you want to talk about a bridge quarterback like Kirk Cousins. And obviously, if the Browns decide to get somebody like Kirk Cousins in free agency, then we know what their plan is. But let's say they don't do that. For me personally, I'm taking one of those 2 guys if they're there, 1 or 2. Where are you at with that?
I mean, these guys aren't. I'm going to sound a lot like Steve here. These guys are not worth taking at pick 2. It's just not worth it. Shadur is not bad. Cam Ward is not bad, but they do not need to be being picked at number 2. The problem is QB is overrated a lot of the time, because you literally can't win without a quarterback. And so people will do a lot for a quarterback. I think the Browns are smart enough. I think the Browns hopefully don't feel any pressure from the fans. I know the fans want to draft a quarterback.
Pressure from me, like Johnny Cleveland here? What? No, not at all.
I think they want a quarterback somewhere at some point. I don't think they're going to get it here at this draft. I think right now what you need to look at is one, trading down. If you trade down to pick 11 or 12 and Shadur is still there and you pick him at 12 and get the value from trading away pick 2, fine, I can live with that. But if you decide to pick Shadur at 2, I think that is very, very of a bad pick. I think, and especially with Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward is an early to mid second round pick. But if you decide to trade down to pick 12, 13, and Shadur manages to fall that far, which I don't think he will, I think the latest he goes is to the Giants. But if he does somehow manage to fall that far, and you fall to pick 13, you pick up a whole bunch of value from a desperate team in the middle who thinks they can crack the top 10, whatever, and you can snag Shadur in the 10 to 16 range, fine, I can live with that as long as you get a good trade out of that number 2 pick. But quarterback, I hope they draft someone second, third round, because there is some good mid-draft talent that you could look at being a decent quarterback for your next 2 or 3 years while you find someone good.
Okay, well, let me throw some stuff at you. I want you to take this in and let me know what you think on these with this topic. All right, so when you're looking at the 14 playoff teams that went into the NFL playoffs, right? 12 of the 14 quarterbacks this year were drafted in the first round. Of those 12, 10 of them were drafted in the top 10. Now, we can talk, till the cows come home. I guess, you can have all your examples. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady. There's a lot of other quarterbacks that were drafted far down the line. But the masses of really good quarterbacks are drafted in that top 10. Now, I'm not trying to force the issue here, but I also think, at least in my analysis of the quarterbacks, when I've gone back and I've looked at tape of Cam Ward, I'm surprised that you think that Cam Ward should only be like a second round pick. I mean, a lot of people are picking him to be a strong number 1, like that the Titans are, that he will go number 1. Like he's the most NFL ready. Now, I will say, the film that I have watched, I ran out, my stats aren't in front of me, but I wrote about it in a couple of my articles for Fans First and Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders. Cam Ward, he doesn't he's got a good, quarterback, lots of touchdowns, some interceptions, will run with the ball, doesn't run with it a ton. I think he ran for like 400 yards this past season. He's 6'2", 6'3", right, Sam?
Yeah, I believe he's a bigger guy.
So a lot of I cannot see Cam Ward not going in like in the first 2 picks or Shadir Sanders. Now Shadir Sanders, he's got 7,000 yards in his passing career, lots of touchdowns, not many interceptions. The thing about Shadir Sanders, which is different from Cam Ward, is when you go back and look at film of Sanders, he's a pocket guy. A lot of people might think that he runs. He doesn't run. Shadir Sanders really, he is locked in. His dad, Dion, and whatever, they've coached him to work out of that pocket. Now he's gotten sacked and he's made some bad decisions, but he's a pocket guy. He's got a good arm. Like, Cam's probably got a better arm. So I can't see either one of them. I mean, I cannot see them dropping out of the top 10. You think they could?
I think they should. I don't think they will, but I think they could.
Like you said, with the value of quarterbacks, I understand, right? We overvalue them.
If the Titans pick Cam Ward number 1, I am going to personally find the owner and laugh in his face. I think that is a horrible pick at number 1.
Why?
Travis Hunter is better. Period. He is a great pick. And right now, the Titans need to look at Titans, there's defensive players. There's plenty of people. They have the number 1 pick. People overvalue the number 1 pick pretty often. They could trade back and steal some value.
Okay.
The thing is the Titans don't have a team where if they draft a quarterback it's not going to be a Washington situation, right? Washington had a good defense. They had good wide receivers, good running back, good offensive line, and the quarterback was the main restriction. The Titans just suck. If the Titans draft a quarterback, they're not going to be running a Washington type of situation. They still need defense. They still need wide receiver. They still need running back. They still need offensive line. They still need to round out the team, and that's why I think they should be going for other players who can fill out the roster, and then go for a quarterback 2026, 2027, and then you'll have another Washington type of situation.
Well, who are those guys? Because I keep hearing, you hear that from some of these people that say, oh, just wait till 26 or wait till 27, that this graduating class is not that talented. I don't know. I've watched a lot of film, a lot of different quarterbacks. I'm not a quarterback expert, but I see, in my opinion, in watching just film and looking at, stats, and I know they don't tell the whole story, but Ward and Sanders, I definitely think are going, top. They're going to go in the top 5.
They're going to go top 10. Someone's going to the Giants, right? Someone, whether it's Shadur or Ward, the Giants are most likely looking at a quarterback. I don't have the draft order pulled up. I should.
Right. Yes. Giants are 3rd.
Okay. Then, the Giants are going to steal someone, right? They're going to pick probably Shadur because he is valued more in the media and around the world.
But let me, Mike, you just mentioned the Titans and how they don't have this and they don't have that and they don't have a defense. The Browns have a defense, right? Do you agree that, Sam, that the Browns have a pretty good defense?
Yeah, I mean, they have a good defense. Yeah, they should they need to fill out a few more places, but yes, they have a good defense.
Well, why don't then we take the quarterback? Why can't we take a quarterback at 2? Why can't we take Sanders?
I don't think the team is going to be changed. I still think there's going to be restrictions. I don't think this team the team doesn't feel far off from a quarterback, right? But we won 11 games and we had the best defense in the league. We had a good offensive line, good offensive core, and a bunch of messed up quarterbacks. This team is good, but I don't think and this is going to probably come back and bite me, right? Shadur is going to get drafted number 3. The Giants are going to win the Super Bowl in 2028, and everyone's going to be like, "See, you were wrong." But if we draft Shadur and he ends up being terrible, the whole Browns fandom is just going to fall apart because everyone's going to be so angry that we didn't take this guy or this guy or this guy. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think I just think it's too high for these quarterbacks. I don't think they're good enough yet. They might prove me wrong, right? They might have a great Senior Bowl or whatever, but I don't think they're good enough to warrant a number 1 or number 2 pick. They're going to go that high, but I just don't see it happening perfectly.
Cam Ward, to me, on film, seems very comfortable either passing the ball or running with the ball. And when he's running with the ball, it's much more effortless than some of these other guys. Let me mention a couple other guys that the Browns might consider. I've mentioned this in some of my articles about who could the Browns draft. Not necessarily number 2, but I did say if it were me and I was, a lot of Browns fans, like I would take one of those. If either one of those guys is, if both of those guys are available at number 2, and the Titans took somebody else, oh my God! What you said, Sam, if they pass on one of these guys and then they do go like what I mentioned earlier, you 12 the 14 teams in the playoffs have quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, 10 of those 12 in the top 10. There is something to that, and I think people want to diss that, and a lot of people in Cleveland and fans of Browns for many years want to hope that, we'll get our quarterback in the second, third, fourth round. Yeah, and what's it led us to? Not a lot. Baker Mayfield, number 1 draft pick, got us the playoffs, had issues with his shoulder and whatnot. So I want to talk to you about a couple of these other quarterbacks that I wrote about after the break and get your take on where you think they might be drafted. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back here on the Fanatical Elfz Show. Thanks for joining us. And we're back here on the Fanatical Elfz Show Thursday night. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Suchan, and there is Sam the Man Britton, all the way down there in Dallas, Texas. Thanks for coming back to us. We appreciate you downloading us on Apple, on Spotify, watching us right now live on the X, on YouTube, on Facebook. Thank you so much. Sam, talking about these quarterbacks. So the other 2 hot names in Browns talk for quarterbacks, okay, is Tommy Rees, new offensive coordinator, was the offensive coordinator of the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? Roll Tide. He helped and worked with quarterback Jalen Milroy of Alabama. There are a lot of people talking, and Sam, this is even the crazier part, is that here in Cleveland, some people are talking about taking Jalen Milroy at the number 2 spot in the first round if the Browns really feel that way. And I'm going, oh my God, please do not. I've watched a lot of film on Jalen Milroy. I want your take on him. I definitely think he's got a lot of talent, athletic, can do a lot of things. You want to talk about a guy that runs the ball. His career, he had, I want to say 1,500 yards rushing, 700 just this past season. He is a running. He does not stay in the pocket. He gets sacked. He runs around. It's too much like watching, I feel like Deshaun Watson 2.0 if the Browns are going to take him. But I want your take on Jalen Milroy because a lot of people are talking about it because Tommy Rees was at Alabama. What do you think?
Yeah, what was the old Alabama coach? Nick Saban, right?
Yeah, Nick Saban.
I'm trying to check when Nick Saban quit Alabama. Nick Saban quit. Oh, okay. He quit very recently. Man, I thought that happened years ago.
No.
So this is Jalen Milroy is a Saban pick. It's not easy to get picked by Nick Saban, right? It's not.
Good point. Yep.
Saban knows what he's looking for. He knows how to do this. If you get picked up by Saban, you know that you're a good quarterback. Milroy was behind Bryce Young, who I think Bryce Young he's been bad, but I think he has some good qualities. I think he's going to come around. You don't play for what? The Panthers, right? Is Bryce Young? You don't play for the Panthers and become a good quarterback, right? That's a bad team. How they won so many games, I have no idea. But the Panthers won 5 games. It's not really that many, but even still, what we're looking at with Milroy is he is a Saban prospect, and that's not easy to get through. I think he isn't a bad player. I think he would be a good mid to late second round pick if you or early third with the Browns because we have such early picks. If you wanted to if he fell to mid third or early third, I think he could be a great selection. I think, again, like I said, 3rd through 5th round, if you just wanted to take a swing at a quarterback, put him on the bench for a year, and if you see something good out of him, start him maybe a few times. You have nothing to lose at this point, right? The coaches do, the players do. Yes, I understand, but the team itself has nothing to lose, right? This is the worst season in a few years. might as well take a shot on somebody. Again, like I said, number 2 pick for someone like Milrow is just outrageous. That just would be disappointing in my opinion.
Very much so. Okay. Yeah. The one thing I mean, if you want another running quarterback and a guy that did it a lot in college, then that's your guy. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. The Browns do take him. I'm hoping they wouldn't use a first or second round pick on him, that maybe he'd be available. But, there's talk out there, the Pittsburgh Squealers are talking about him. I read some stuff on their websites that they're interested in the kid. And the other guy that's getting a lot of conversation here, especially because I'm in Columbus, is Will Howard, who just had a magnificent national championship run. Nick, I've talked about this quite frequently, and I've written about it because I had a chance to watch Will Howard for many years when he played at Kansas State. He was their quarterback for 4 seasons, but he wasn't anything special. And when you talk to people in Kansas, friends of mine, when Will Howard came here to Ohio State, they were like, "Oh, you got Will Howard?" And we're like, "Yeah." And like, "Oh, well, have fun with that." So, and since then, Will Howard has basically been on fire, and it helps when you have amazing talent around you, and especially wide receiver room like Jeremiah Smith, that Will Howard can throw the ball to. When he made that immaculate throw, I don't know if you saw it at the end of the national championship game. My friend, an old colleague from Kansas, texted me and was like, Will Howard didn't have any wide receivers like that, referencing Jeremiah Smith. So Will Howard is, in some cases, people are saying moving up the ladder board or the draft board. And, coming here to Cleveland, he's a big guy, 6'4", right? Kind of, it reminds me of Big Ben Roethlisberger, used to play for the Squealers. What do you think about Will Howard?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a good idea for a late second, early third, right? I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that could be pretty decent if you pick a mid in the draft. I feel like quarterbacks especially are turning into almost linebackers at this point, right? Like you're going to see these 226-foot-6 behemoths on the field that somehow can throw a ball 85 yards and can just truck every cornerback he sees. So I think if you see a bigger quarterback, that's a good thing. I think the quarterback position is shifting. I think it's looking more towards these bigger guys. Now I still think smaller guys like a 6 foot, even shorter, like a Russell Wilson type of player is not out of style. I think it's still good, but I think these bigger, burlier guys are going to be what you're looking at. But yeah, I think it could be good. The problem sometimes with these players who come from Ohio State, come from an Alabama, come from a whatever team, Michigan, right? Is sometimes these players are given the best possible talent, but aren't playing teams that are up to their talent level. And when you come to the NFL, everyone's more or less on the same talent level, right? There's still better teams than others, but generally all the players are similar.
Yeah.
And so, and depending on your team, right, it's going to be a lot harder. And so sometimes these players who come from an Alabama, who come from an Ohio State will have overly inflated statistics because they're on such a good team against worse talent.
Well, his years in Kansas State, Will Howard was throwing the ball, 2,000, 2,500 yards each season. This year, he was over 4,000 yards here at Ohio State, obviously with the support of his great wide receivers. I like the fact that Will Howard too has a pretty good knack for, running the ball or those quarterback keepers. And I could see that being used. He's kind of a Josh Allen, feel, and up in Buffalo, you could, if you brought in a veteran like Kirk Cousins to this team. I saw somebody talking about bringing in, let's say the Browns don't. So let's say they're going to go in the free agency, and let's say they don't get Kirk Cousins, because everyone keeps talking about Kirk Cousins. There are other veterans out there. Sam Darnold's going to be a free agent. Some people are talking about Geno Smith in Seattle. He's 34 years old. he's some people are suspecting that he might get cut by the Seahawks and save them like 40 million or some dollars. And some people have lined him up to come here to Cleveland, which would be interesting. Do you, in your mind, do you think right now that the Browns are going to go with a veteran, like a bridge quarterback, like I just mentioned, and then draft one of these players that we've been talking about, or is there another quarterback in the draft that you like this dark kid from Mississippi, like from Ole Miss? What do you think?
I mean, right now it's not exactly. It's too far to really to really see anything.
Okay.
But right now, the top guys aren't bad, right? I mean, they aren't bad. They're just not valued as high in personally, right? They're gonna go high, but we'll see. It's hard to. It's January and the draft is April. Like we've still got multiple months of things and workouts and all these things that'll change a lot of things. But I like Quinn Ewers as a third or fourth round pick. I think he's got good physical traits. He still has some mental stuff he needs to work on, but I think he could be a good, decent
Okay.
quarterback. Veteran wise, bridge kind of guy. Kirk could be okay. Sam Darnold, we'll see what happens with him because he did have those bum games in against the Lions and the Rams. So we'll see how that affects his value. I still think he still did win 14 games. Yes, it didn't end very well, but he's gonna get some money. We'll see. Geno Smith could be an interesting option, right? He had some good years in Seattle. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's way too early to determine a lot of these things and what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of time, and there's a lot of time for speculation. You hear little stories about Sanders, like Shadir Sanders and his dad, Dion, the Hall of Famer, who's mentioned, or at least there's been conversations behind the scenes saying that he doesn't want his kid playing for a team like the Browns because the Browns aren't successful usually, things like that he would want a say in where his son goes. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's been a long time since we've seen that in the league. There's been certain times, for example, John Elway. Do you remember John Elway? He used to play for the Detroit or the Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Broke
My
our
mom would
heart.
have just killed you not knowing because she's a Broncos fan. But yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, John Elway didn't immediately. I think he was originally drafted by a different team.
He was, and they decided to get rid of him because he just wouldn't play with them.
Right, and then he was threatening to play baseball at the time, and then he got picked up by Denver. So I think even Eli Manning, Peyton Manning's brother, who played, the Giants Super Bowl winner, he didn't want to play for certain teams and whatnot. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. I don't know. Do you think Dion's going to get a job in the NFL? I mean, you were talking last week that you maybe.
I mean, we'll see. The Cowboys look like they're just going to put Brian Schottenheimer, who I believe is their defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Into the position for head coach. It might have happened already. Let me just look it up. Brian.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, let's just see if he's moved up already. But yeah, that's what the Cowboys were doing. So yeah, it looks like he's probably going to be the head coach for the Cowboys. But I don't know. We'll see what Dion does. I mean, some NFL teams have a lot of money. They could tell him, be like, hey, you know what? You want to we'll give you $30 million a year. Just come play for our team, right? We'll see. I don't know. He is going to lose his son at the Colorado. He's going to lose Travis Hunter, who's like basically his half son at this point.
Yeah. Travis Hunter is phenomenal. And we've talked about him a little bit. And I know you would love to have him on the Browns. That could be, let's say the Browns took Travis Hunter at 2 and somehow, they had pick 33 at the beginning of the second round. Could they, sneak back in? And if there wasn't a quarterback still there, and I don't know if Sanders and I think they'll both be gone in the top 10, but
yes, they will.
Okay. Would the Browns, though, with their 33rd pick and maybe a future pick this or that, could they get back in there and get one of those guys? What if they got both of them? What if they got Hunter and Sanders?
If they got Hunters and Sanders, I think that would completely fracture the NFL and the entire world would explode and everyone would die. That would be insane. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be absolutely wild if they managed to somehow get Shedeur and Travis Hunter. I'd love that. That would be amazing. But no, that's not going to happen. I think Travis Hunter, you might see him at 2. If you see him at 2, pick him. I mean, he's great. He can play both wide receiver and cornerback. He's a better wide receiver, but I don't know.
His wide receiver skills, and that's what I've heard is if the Browns did draft him, that they would use him primarily as a wide receiver. It'll be interesting. Lots of time between now and then. Any final thoughts tonight, Sam, on the Browns this week? What are you going to be working on? I know you've got your Browns breakdown shows that you'll be doing here coming up.
Yeah, that should be coming Saturday. I don't really have much else other than go Bills, I guess. I don't want to see the Chiefs win again.
I know,
I can't deal with the Chiefs anymore. I also kind of am rooting for the Commanders almost because I wanted to see the wide receiver, the good one on the Commanders. I can't remember his name for some reason.
McLaren?
Yeah, Terry McLaurin. I love him because
he's a former Buckeye.
He's been on the team for years, and
Yes.
the Commanders suck, but he's been like a consistent top 10 wide receiver, but the Commanders have been so garbage, but now they're really good, and so I'm happy to see him. I
think the whole Jaden Daniels thing, too, has prompted some of this conversation this week here in Cleveland with this whole conversation at number 2 and these two quarterbacks, because we all see, oh, my God, Jaden Daniels can, it's amazing what he's done, but, their defense was never crap. Like the Washington Commanders have had a decent rest of their team, correct? Would you agree with that prior to Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, they've had a good team. When was Daniels drafted?
He was Josh.
I'm looking it up right now.
Was it the end of the
It was I can't see.
Let me look.
It was number 2 pick.
Overall.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, Browns have number 2 pick.
And Caleb Williams went number 1, which everyone knew was going to happen.
And
but Jane Daniels, people had a much higher of a he is older though. That was the thing that people were a little worried about, was he was going to be didn't he play for Louisiana State and someone else?
That's correct.
Where did he play? He played for one more team, but he was older.
I'm not sure. I'm going back.
Louisiana State, but I swear he played for or LSU, something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He won the Heisman. He did all these things, and I don't think Shedeur has done this. So I think that's why he got picked so high. Caleb, everyone knew Caleb was going to go 1. He's on the Bears, so we can't really judge him yet, but I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, I can judge him. I don't think he's that kid Williams. He's not going to amount to anything. I just, I just never saw it when he played for USC. I think he's a crybaby. I don't think he's very mature. I just don't think that he has the it thing.
And Bo Nix was picked 12. He's going to play second most likely in Rookie of the Year. Bo Nix was 12. Oregon is it was Arizona State. Was
it Arizona
when he played for Washington? I don't know why.
You're talking about Daniels?
Yeah.
So that's what I was just going to ask you. I just went back and looked myself.
I could have sworn
Arizona State. Yeah, Arizona State. You are correct.
Who played for Washington then? Someone played for Washington, and I cannot.
Well, Cam Ward, now he played for Washington State. No. Yes. He played 2 years at Washington State. He was a Washington State Cougar. And then he played this last year in Miami. So, I know what you're saying. The Washington kid. That's what's his face. Sam Penix with the Atlanta
Michael
Falcons.
Penix. Yeah, that's who
Michael
I'm thinking
Penix.
of. Okay.
Michael Penix.
I now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Bo Nix was 12. People weren't high on Bo Nix exactly. So, I mean, it's just
Bo Nix went 12.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Bo Nix has a lot of upside. I mean, I think he's got a better coach out there in Denver. He'll be better than Cale Williams. I would take Bo Nix over Cale Williams any day of the week. So
Yeah,
with
I
that,
think we're good right now.
folks, thanks for tuning in again tonight on this wild and crazy Thursday night episode. It's January 23rd. Shout out to my beautiful, lovely wife, Laura. It's her birthday. And just want to wish her the very best year ahead. Again, happy birthday, Laura. Sam, thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, always.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fanatical Elfz Network. We're here, rain or shine, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasting. We are here for you. We love our brownies just like you. We're just ordinary, crazy, wild. Well, I'm a crazy, wild fan. Sam's much more astute, calm. Yeah. So with that, everybody tune into the other shows coming up. We got Lou Marconi with his Burning River Brown Stock tomorrow night. Last night we had Sherry with her Breezy Browns talk. Great conversation there with our friend Bill from Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders as well. Lots of other shows. We got Steve Gill with his show on Mondays, the Dog Pound South programming. Sam's got his own show, Browns Breakdowns. Ethan Greenberg has Going Nuclear.
Hey, finally got it.
Yeah, I got it right. He's joined by his other colleagues, and Heather is one of his she's been on some other shows with Sherry and Lou. And who else? We got Jarrell, and we've got Rod Bloom, of course. Rod, I can't forget him, with our Browns Blitz. He should be providing his show later on this evening, so stay tuned for that. Again, Lou's got his show tomorrow night, Friday night. Tune into that Burning River Brown Stock. Thanks again, everybody. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Thank you for watching.
Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show.